We are live. So, hi everybody. This is Parveen Tuli here, and Infinite Space and Parent to Parent is back again today on their Thursday lives, where we introduce all our audience here with new concepts. Yeah, let me see. With new concepts. I hope I'm audible. Am I audible, Shweta?
Yes, very much.
Thank you. So, with new concepts, new speakers, interesting people doing interesting stuff, sharing their knowledge, the products and services which will enhance your parenting experience. And today we have with us Shweta Nair. Oh, Shweta Nair. Shweta Arora
Absolutely.
Nair. If
Yes.
I pronounce that no, wrong, please correct me. So Shweta is a mom to two boys. And she's bringing her parenting experience to create and found a news shuttle, a newspaper for kids. So writing has been her passion with her, and she hopes that the passion will help kids learn and have fun at the same time.
Yes.
What is, and I would love to talk about news shuttle, but I think when the creator talks about it, it's full of passion and great enthusiasm. So welcome, Shweta,
Absolutely.
and we are
Yes,
happy. And you're from Pune, right?
that's right. Thank you, Praveen,
Awesome.
for having
Welcome
me here.
to
Thank you so much. And yes, New
Awesome.
Shuttle is our baby, and that's how our little baby looks like. And
Yay.
we've been doing this for about 3 years now. We are in third year of operations. We are present pan India. It's a newspaper practically for children above 6 years until they move on to actual newspaper. Because look at corona times, we have all negative news, but at other times also we are filled with domestic violence, vulgarity in our newspapers these days. So we are trying with News Shuttle to tailor make our newspaper for children who are in this age group. We are customizing it and amalgamating it with a lot that is happening around the world, which they can practically understand. So in their textbooks, there's a lot of static knowledge. Example, volcanoes, they know static what they are. But through News Shuttle, we are trying to tell them when is it happening, where is it happening, how did it start. So that is what we are trying to do. It's a combination of news, stories. Yeah.
That's brilliant because I also like nowadays it's more like current affairs. How do we engage kids with current affairs? But
Yeah.
also there is so much looking at the media right now when you open the TV, even the news media and other stuff in the world, it's more like they are more polarized into the rights and the wrongs, and each one of them is debating what is right and what is wrong rather than giving them information of
Yes.
how to create or building up their creative muscles or how can we
True.
do better.
True.
So brilliant idea. I loved when I saw your news shuttle thing. I said, wow. I remember when my kids were young, I was so looking for new concepts and ideas where they can engage into something better. So this is a brilliant idea. So how did this idea popped up? Were you always, are you a writer, or were you always interested in really media and all, or how this idea popped up? And would we would love to know the journey of starting from the ideation to actualization of News Shuttle.
So the idea came up because my boy was then 9 years and he would pick up random papers and ask me very weird questions that I thought were not apt for his age to actually know. So I realized
Mhm.
that he asked these questions because there was a gap. There wasn't one paper that could give them all this news in their language, customize it to their needs. So that's where the idea came up and the ideation
Okay.
started. Yeah, we ran our first run with about 100 odd customers where we gave them a paper, took some ideation, customization from them, took the feedback from them, and then we launched it, alas, in 2017, practically in May. Yes.
Wow. And what was the response? Like, was it well accepted, or how was the acceptability? Were parents open to it? Or I would love to know more about, because when a new idea pops up, was it difficult for you to really share it with the world, or were people, did you find a set of parents who were aware and were looking for this information wholeheartedly?
So there were parents like you, Parveen, who said that, I have always been waiting. In my childhood also, I heard about such a paper and it faded away. But then there were others who said that in technology age, who's reading these papers? That's
Yeah.
absolutely a wrong idea to even think of it as a startup or as a work. You're not going the right direction. But for me, I think books and papers are here to stay. We are not going away with them. We are not getting rid of them any soon. So technology, yes, I have nothing against it. It's awesome, but we can only partner with it. We cannot let it master our lives. So technology will
I
always stay
love
with
that.
us hand in hand. Yeah, sorry.
I love that quote. I love that quote because the way you quoted it is absolutely brilliant. Which is everything is a tool. Even technology is a tool to make our life faster and easier. And
Yes.
still, there are loves for papers and experiences that we
Yeah.
can have in hand
Yes,
that enhances the experience. So,
absolutely.
Shweta, tell me about when you're writing a paper in a newspaper for kids, what are the elements and creativity or elements of that you would love to add to that so that it enhances the creative skills, because there are two elements that you discussed and wrote about that you would love to talk about is creativity and reading. So
Yes.
would you like to talk more about that?
Sure. So when we created paper after 1 year of it running successfully, we created a focus group from certain schools. So we are currently with schools like Kalyani School in Pune. So we created a focus group where we spoke to kids of this age group and understood that what is that they want to read. So we are giving them a tray which is full of what they may or may not accept. But through this focus group, we got to know what is that they want to read. Perhaps it is puzzles, innovations, climate, different countries they want to visit through newspaper. So that is what we try to inculcate in these years. That's the idea. So we have special sections where we purely talk about what they can do, what they can draw, what they can create out of their thoughts. The only reason
Wow.
why I say technology should be just a partner is because technology stops your imagination somewhere. It's everything is ready made. In reading, you let that creativity fly completely. So that's the advantage.
That's so true. I love reading and I can so relate to that.
Wow.
So Shweta, yeah. So tell me one thing. So there is an age group that you said, which is like I think 6 to 14. You said
True.
almost.
Yes.
So so how do you pick up your topics and uh, what are the elements like when you are talking about something? Like, do you also cater subjects which are untabooed or subjects which nobody talks about, or and who are the people, like how can people reach you? I mean, like, do you if people want to really convey something to kids, is your platform open for that as well?
Yes, we definitely have the platform open for that. And we're talking about varied topics. Like we're talking about how kids can rap, how can they create a rap song. So that's also cool, I think. And we have people from Get Lit, we have people from many other platforms who are talking about not just the conventional thoughts, but absolutely new points. Something that the kids would like to experiment, but are already tabooed, like you correctly said. So you can reach out to us at newsshuttle.com, or you could mail us at contact@newsshuttle.com. So that reaches to the editor directly. And if we can include your point, or if you would like to write as a parent something, we'll be more than happy to introduce that.
That's great. uh, Shweta, tell me something. Like nowadays, there was something that I was reading in a recent conversation. I was reading and I had a conversation with a friend, which was about because of too much visuals and too much TV screen timing and XY, that the listening capacity of kids are really getting diminishing. It's going on a diminishing way. So
Hmm.
I would like to know, like, as you're saying, also imagination, reading enhances the imagination as well. So
Right.
what are the three tips or tools you would like to give our audience, where with all the technology and everything that is available right now, how can parents enhance the creativity of children, maybe they're younger children or maybe they're kids who are like grown up, like
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Thanks. And I think that's a very essential question that many parents ask us in many discussions that we do at schools also. So first and foremost, I think that be a role model. As parents, we need to be modeling what we are preaching. The problem is
Mm-hmm.
that we ourselves are so gadget freaks these days. We are so stuck to our own phones that it is very difficult. Even when a child is asking question, we find it difficult to take our eyes away from our WhatsApp text messages or a Facebook update that's coming on our screen. So be the role models, and even if you're spending like 15 minutes with your kid in a day, make sure that exclusive kid time is there. So model that integrity towards being away from gadgets. That'll be my first trick to inculcate creativity. I also think there are very innovative ideas. You don't need to say tum pad nahi rahe, you don't read. See, look at your friends who read for hours together. See how he has already completed Harry Potter. No, that's not essential. Give them some tricks. Ask them questions. Who is Sudha Murthy? Do you know what was the first bicycle like? Just throw open some questions that could cause some curiosity in them. Just about anything. You can ask any question. Ask them to research about it. And when they research, they ought to read somewhere something. Do not demean their reading. So even if they are reading a Hindi book, a Hindi manual, don't say Hindi kaun padhta hai aajkal. It's absolutely
Mm-hmm.
fine. Reading is reading. It has nothing to do with language. Just because I run News Shuttle, don't need to necessarily read News Shuttle. You can read just about anything. I have a friend who says her kid reads manuals that come along with any gadgets we buy, the instruction
Mm-hmm.
manuals, and it's amazing how what he learned out of that. So after years, now he started reading these when he was 7, and now he's 9. She says that just because he was reading that, he's become very factual. So when he talks, he always has some basis to it. So
Yeah.
trust their instincts. Do not belittle their thoughts. Don't say that ये क्या पढ़ रहा है, इससे क्या होगा. कुछ तो होगा. Let them read. Let them be free flyers. Yeah, that is my viewpoint. And let there be enough positivity. Uh, that's one last thing that I would like to say is create some routines and rituals. I know it's very boring to have a very structured life, but devote like at 9 p.m. every day, we are spending some story time. Let the day end be something very soothing for the kids without judgments. Let us read every day a paragraph for 5 minutes. Let that leave the thoughts. Everything else should leave the thought at night. And it should be just that ritual every day we are reading. So that's my
Wow.
thought about
I'll also love the last one because we also are into game. We created a game which is conversation game where every
it.
night you can pick up a card and you can just begin a conversation and leave the curiosity and let the
Wow.
kids ponder. So yeah, that's great. So
I think that's
somebody's
the
asked,
way to holistic growth, I guess. Absolutely.
yeah. So there's somebody who's asking, is this paper available online? So would you like to address that?
Sure. Thank you for the question. And yes, it is available pan India. You can visit the website. We have options like half yearly, yearly. And thankfully, we also offer a 30-day money back guarantee. So if your kid doesn't read the paper, please feel free to cancel it. The idea is to help them to read. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
there is
currently.
one more question. Yeah, there is one more question, which is more like this. Sorry. So there is a question which is more like my kid is a reader, but they read on. Whenever I invite my kids to read through books, they are more interested in reading through gadgets. Like they're more into like at least I'm reading through. Like I have a screen time, but it's okay. So what are your opinions around it, and how can we really invite more people to whatever they're reading? How can we enhance the experience of reading in kids differently?
So we cannot question their reading on gadget these days because gadgets are the way ahead. But probably I think a little bit of role modeling can help this. Also, we can have like a 5 minute reading from the books. We can ask them to create something what they have read from the book. Probably give them some teasers that, why don't you write something about this topic? And From there, the creative writing thought process starts. So they see a life beyond gadgets also. It's okay if they're not reading from a paper, it's fine. If they don't want to read a book, ask them to do some creative writing. So there, the creativity will move from gadgets to other experiences. And we cannot demean the fact that some of them will always love to read a tab or from a book, sorry, from an iPad. But the only way we can inculcate this is that we challenge them, we give them some ideas that why don't you try this, why don't you write a topic, and from there probably they can pick on reading newspapers also. Also, I feel if they are young kids, you could look at giving them the right things to read. So probably you could have things which are a lot of pictures in it, comic strips. So what can inculcate some kind of mystery or fun to reading. So that probably could add some element of reading with books.
Wow. So we have a question, which is, what are the different sections in the newspaper? What are the things that you would cover in a newspaper for kids?
Yes. So we try to start with a division of some news, which is global news and India news, and then we move on to some stories. We put some puzzles for the kids so that there is some action for them, some interactive activities. We also try to visit different countries and cities through the newspaper. So we have special writers who take the kids through different towns and cities and talk about what all is famous in those cities. We also give them some teasers as to where their imagination can fly. Example, talking about giving them some ideas about writing a spooky story, giving them a few lines and asking them to complete that. And we do maths puzzles. So the idea is to amalgamate all information, be it the latest news, fun, activities, trivia, knowledge, facts together. So we're covering all of this together. And we're ending it with sports news section where we try to give them the latest of what's happening around the globe in sports. So it's like a normal newspaper which would carry everything possibly. It is a 16 pager, 1.3 GSM, very, very fancy paper, which kind of attracts them to hold on to it for a little longer than they would to a normal newspaper, which is not so fancy.
So also, is your newspaper bi-monthly, monthly, weekly? How does it work?
Yeah, so it is fortnightly, and we are giving away one edition to your home every month, and one edition that is digital now since lockdown times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Also, like we've been talking about reading, and something that pulled my attention when you were saying is, do you also encourage kids to write and invite them to publish it in your newspaper?
Yes, so we have a special column of 2 pages where we invite kids from different schools where they can give their submissions. If they are great writers, they do a lot of drawing. So they can send us these submissions at submit@newsshuttle.com. And those are filtered by the editor. And we try to help the kids in case it is not written grammatically correct or it requires a little change. So we write back to them and help them with those inputs also. And the selected entries are every time published in the newspaper with their name, photograph, and anybody can submit that. Yes.
Oh, that's great. So, tell me, Shweta. So there are kids who would love to know more about more creative careers and stuff like that. And does your newspaper actually encourage them to actually uh, take their creativity level, and do you also encourage them to be looking from the perspective of little entrepreneurs building up, like little entrepreneurs, encouraging them to be entrepreneurs for the future or business change makers for the future?
Yes. So we have started a concept in the newspaper, which is shooting stars, where we're saying that it's absolutely fine not to win every time. And yet, as a kid, you may have an idea that you want to express and share. So you can be a wonder kid even if you have not won something in life. So it's not definitely necessary, like our academic says, who's first, second, and third. We're saying we must celebrate milestones and enjoy failures also. So through that, we encourage kids to share their stories and write to us how they failed or how they could not succeed this time, but what they learned out of it. We also
Wow.
have a special column, yeah, where we talk about kids entrepreneurs. We recently published about a kid who is just about 13 years and he has created a financial app for himself.
Wow.
Yes, and that's known as M Rush. Anybody who would like, please go ahead and see. He's one of our readers, and he did that at 13. So, like that, we have another kid at 8 years. She has started a small NGO, so we published that also. So, your idea can be really little, but yet it should get some platform, and that is what we are here for.
Wow. And
Thank you.
okay, there is a question here who's asking, are children paid on writing for you? Like, do you encourage them? Are they given any rewards or payment? This is what I get with
So we
this
have some
question.
e-certificates that we give. We also try to interview some of the bright kids for our YouTube channel. But unfortunately, we are not calling it a paid internship as yet because we see that money is, again, a very small reward for the efforts they're putting in. We would like to bring them to more recognition. We're trying to cover them through live sessions, through YouTube channel, through publishing them in the paper. But currently, we are not offering pay for below 18 years.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you encourage kids to try their hands on at editing and proofreading or proofing also?
So we're yet to try this out, but it's been on my mind for some time now that we must allow one edition that's completely designed by kids. We were
That's
thinking of throwing it as a competition. Yes, that's been on my mind for some time, but the lockdown caused some issues. We were thinking to start with some school on this note, but yes, definitely we would like to try this where they can completely take over the paper.
wow, that I would love to read that. Like, it's this
Yes,
is such a way of expressing yourself through. I mean, like, this is such a great platform so that the kids can express themselves through writing and
right.
the reading and stuff like that. So awesome. So, what is it? Where do you see your news shuttle and your paper two in the future? And what are your future plans with it? I would love to really know that.
Sure, thank you. And the paper, of course, as I said, in the lockdown took a little dip. So we started a community that is primarily for children and that talks about all sessions and workshops which are absolutely exclusive for our kids above 5 years. So that is Innovation Shuttle on Facebook. So this was our futuristic thought that now the technology is definitely a partner hand in hand. It's time we offer them something online also. So going ahead, we plan to do a lot of debating, competitions, quizzes, etc. through the online medium. That's our future thoughts for
Wow.
children.
So, are your newspapers also available for schools and other institutes? So, just very curious. Are your
Sure.
newspaper also available for activity centers? Yeah.
Yes. So this newspaper is absolutely available for all schools. We have about 10 schools in Pune and some in Bangalore, Delhi, and Mumbai. It is absolutely open to all retail customers. So even if you're taking a single copy, we offer you the same service. We send it through a registered post. Currently, it's our baby, and we are very, very passionate about it. We do not want to limit it to anybody. We haven't thought of doing so. We also have started some free copies online for our customers during this time. So I'll be happy to share that with you if all and anybody would like to read, share back their feedback, give away suggestions. We'll be really happy to inculcate those suggestions.
Awesome. So I think our community will be more than happy to receive. If anybody of you would love to have a copy of this newspaper and would love to go through it and look at the content and the variety of topics covered here. So in the thank you note, we'll be sending you forms where you can give your details. I think News Shuttle will be giving you digital copies for. The maybe for digital copy of the news latest news or
Sure.
whatever. Yeah, thank you, Shweta, for
Yes.
that. So okay, how many subscribers are there in your list at present? There is a question that came.
Currently, we have about 3,000 subscribers pan India, which includes
Wow,
school and retail both.
wow, that's great. So awesome. Are you also looking for making this as a digital newspaper, or will it be only a physical newspaper?
As much as I wanted it to be only a physical paper, I am really passionate about holding the paper in hand and letting the kids read it, make some drawings on it, color them out. So we have special sections where we give color me outs, puzzles, or filling in details. So I'm really passionate about that. But with Corona times, that's been a learning that we must also have digital edition. And hence we have now initiated that. So we have both options now.
Wow, awesome. So that's great. So tell me about your journey and what are the feedbacks that you receive? Do kids recognize this paper or they look forward for it? What are some of the testimonials and feedbacks that kids come up with, or maybe criticism, like or what they do really like it or not like it about reading newspapers?
Yeah, criticism is definitely essential, and when it comes from young generation, it is far more less filtered and makes more sense. I personally feel it is absolutely comes the way it has to. It is not manipulated in fancy words. So some of the feedback which has been good is that we love the puzzle section, we love the sports section, we love activities. Some of them definitely are not happy that we are teaching them one lesson every time. Some moral thoughts like so, which is quite obvious. So, we try to talk about different inventions, celebrities. We spoke about Sudha Murthy. We spoke about Dhirubhai Ambani, how his journey was full of failures. So, some kids say that, oh, it's quite history. We don't want to learn that. So, that definitely has been a feedback. But mostly, interactive activities is what they love about the newspaper, and that they don't miss on current news when they read it. So a few of them mentioned that there were things that they had not known before they read the paper. So like invention of bicycle, what was it then and what is it now? It has undergone about 10 to 12 changes in a decade. So they only
Wow.
saw it here. So how was a post-it note created? Or how does a microwave function? Why is there a rainbow? So such questions we've answered for them. How do you test if an egg is right or wrong? I mean, it's good to eat or not without your parents being around, or what should a
Mm.
safety include. So these little handy how-to things have really helped them, and they thought that it was shared very friendly. They also love our section of sticky stories, which says stories that stick to your mind. So we talk about
Wow.
different stories, yeah, and let a message leave with them so that they can imagine that in their mind. So that section we've got a lot of appreciation from. Thank you.
Wow, that's
I
interesting.
can talk for
So
hours.
no, that's great. I would like to know, but there are factual things happening around in the world, which is more in the current affairs, which are like there are terrorism, wars, there are there are community disputes, or maybe favorism, or XYZ, the politics. How do you educate your kids around it? Like because sometimes we term it as harsh or XYZ, but how do you make that news in how, what are the channel or communication skills that you can use to make the kids aware of it without looking at it from a positive aspect, like so that they can look at it and are willing to change it or choose differently there?
Yeah. So definitely terrorist attacks or too much vulgarity and violence, we definitely avoid that. We have been preventive in that approach. But there are facts that we do tell them, like in Corona times, we've been updating them about what is the current status. At and along with that, we're giving them resolutions on how they can help the current situation. So there's very little we can do in some situations. Even if it is a terrorist attack, as kids, they cannot really action anything on that. But they must know the as is situation and they must know the way forward. That has been
Yeah.
our way of looking at a negative situation. We avoid news which can impact their minds too much, or they can create some limitations for their thinking. So we avoid those thoughts. But general news, which has probably a death of a celebrity, we have started sharing that because we feel that if it is a life circle, they will eventually learn that that is an important part of their lives, and that shall happen. Even if we don't like to hear that, that shall happen.
Yeah. So as you're talking, a question that popped up in my mind, which is like, do you have any section where you ask kids to solve bigger problems like world problems, economic problems, or climate change, or etc.? Do you ask for suggestion? Because in my experience, kids give you the best solutions for, like, in a way they give you
Absolutely.
solutions which are absolutely random and they come up with pop up. So do you have anything like that where kids give you about what can be the solution for maybe too much plastic in the world, maybe the climate change, or XYZ.
Yeah. So we have a section, not exactly like you're saying, but I think it's very close to it, where we are trying to uh, test their thought process. Like we had a month where we said mad about environment. We took the lead from Kalyani School, who was running that, and they suggested if we could do something around it. And we gave the option about, if you're mad about environment, what are the three things that you can do in action for the environment? Let's not talk about what parents are doing. As a kid of 8 years, 10 years, what is that you can do? Similarly, to create some simulation, we also tried something on finance, because we think that finance is another topic which is not too touched in our Indian society. So we
Yeah,
created some options on how you can budget.
yeah,
How can you budget what you have in hand? From a parent or a relative gives you 1,000 rupee, how are you going to budget that? And we gave them many, many options of things they could buy. So here we were trying to help them with the want and the need concept. So there's so
hmm.
much they want, but what exactly is their need? So we try to help them with that. But definitely, I think I'll come back with something on the economic thing also. I think that is a wonderful idea, Parveen.
Oh, thank you
I
so
will
much.
use it sometime.
That's great.
We will
And
credit it to you.
so I love
Yes,
we have a company which is Infinite Space Games and
yes,
empowerment company, and we also are very curious about what kids know and how can they actually
yes.
come up with various suggestions and XYZ, because they are very abrupt, straight, and they know it and they talk about it.
True.
As you said, adults are politically correct. They manipulate
Yes.
in a sweet, caramelized
We do the
format.
screening
But
rounds.
so thank you so much. I think we are
Thank you.
almost, the time is up for us. But
Yes,
thank you, Shweta. It has been a pleasure talking with you, and thanks for coming, giving us your time and presence for
pleasure.
parent to parent group. And I highly recommend everybody who's watching this to please come and let's encourage our kids for reading differently. I mean, like, what if like I remember when I was young, we everybody used to tell newspaper to padne kya habit honi hi chahiye, which is like you should really news. This was
Read.
something that
Yes.
our parents perpetuated. But always, like, nowadays I never didn't encourage much around my kids because the newspapers are not very pleasant to read. It was more
Yes.
about like so there is a newspaper which is giving you information, awareness, and inviting you for greater creativity and problem
Any day.
solving capacities. So please come, and anybody who would love to have more information, with the thank you note after this session, we will giving the links to where her Facebook page and her website and other information about Shweta's work. So anybody who would love to come, and once again, I'll just www.newsshuttle.com is the website. And
Yes.
if there, because we have lots of teachers and schools also in this forum, so anybody who's looking for some positive news for schools, kids, and teachers, highly
Yes.
recommend her. So thank you, Shweta, for joining
Thank
in.
you so much for having me here. Thank you.
Yeah, it was
All right.
pleasure
Thank
having
you,
you
parents,
here.
for listening us for or 30 minutes. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.